soon my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of loving word. Darkness when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
Good morning, and welcome to the First Universalist Church of Rochester, where we are called to nurture the spirit and serve the community. Whoever you are welcome here. Wherever you come from, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, you are welcome here, and whatever your relationship to the darkness, the dark of winter that our gathered here quartet just sang about, you are welcome here. All of you is welcome here. It is good, it is good, it is good to be together this morning. Every Sunday when we gather, we acknowledge with respect the Seneca Nation, keepers of the Western Door, and part of the Haudenosaunee people, on whose ancestral lands First Universalist now stands. This morning, we are worshiping in a new way. We are a community of seekers, both online and in person, and we are choosing to worship in person, vaccinated and masked with social distance. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you. We thank you so much for making it here to our online community and to our in-person community. We have a visitors form that can be found in the chat or found in your order of service. Please fill out that form so we can offer you a welcome beyond this worship service. Before we take a moment to turn to our neighbor and offer a greeting, let us take a moment to turn towards this camera right here by our piano and to greet our online worshiping community. With a wave, please face a wave. Oh, thanks, Emma. Emma's shifting it around so we can say hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are so glad you are here with us online. If you are online, please pop into the chat to offer a greeting. And if you're here at First Universalist, let us please take a moment to turn to our neighbor and to offer a greeting this morning. It's just wild. Dear ones, as we embrace the light of the morning and give deep thanks for the dark of night, let us please rise in body or in spirit and sing hymn number 41, You Who Have Spent That Silent Night. This is not one that we sing often, so Brock will actually play it once through on the organ before we sing.
In many of the origin stories of our world and our planet, the process of creation always begins in the dark. Out of the darkness comes rest. Out of the darkness comes creativity. Out of the darkness comes light. Out of the darkness comes restoration. Out of the darkness comes healing. Out of the darkness, we are formed into being. Let us give thanks and praise this morning for the darkness. Come, let us worship together. As Doris DeLumba lights our chalice at First Universalist Church, and you light a chalice in your own homes, will you join me in saying our chalice words in unison? May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please join me in our affirmation of faith, followed by our doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. From all that dwell below the stars, let songs of fame and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue. This morning, we give to First Universalist Church, whose mission is to nurture the spirit and serve the community. For those who come weary and seeking, may this be a space of nourishment, rest, and reflection. For those who come here out of deep joy, may this community celebrate with you. Your gifts this morning make this work and presence in people's lives possible. You are invited to bring your offering to the offering boxes in the front of the church and the back of the sanctuary. If you would like to give online, please scan the QR code if you are here in the sanctuary and click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Our offering will now be gratefully received.
Well, dear ones, this morning we are going to take some time to lift up some gratitude. And I was just reminded that I have some gratitude to share with you all this morning, which is specifically a gratitude for our staff that serve this congregation and that have faithfully served this congregation through 2 years of a pandemic, through shifting from in-person worship to online-only worship to hybrid worship. I hope you all are looking at Emma as I am looking at Emma with deep adoration, admiration, and amazingness. I lift up gratitude this morning for Brock, who has been directing our choir, playing the organ, pre-recording music in an empty room so that we could listen to him every Sunday throughout this pandemic. I am holding deep gratitude this morning in my heart for Reverend Michelle, who is really not with us in the sanctuary right now because she has to be with our children who cannot be vaccinated upstairs in our children's worshiping space. And I just recognize that for her, not being part of our worship services is a major sacrifice, and also how much she has cared for and loved our children and our adults, and brought so many of us here in this room into educational programs, into small group ministries, and been present with us in some of the deepest griefs of our hearts as she has co-led a grief group with me through this important and incredible season we've all been living through. I lift up gratitude today also for Karen, our custodian, who took on this job in the midst of a pandemic and completely has cleaned this church in an amazing way to prepare the way for us to be here. I also lift up gratitude this morning for Sunday and for Carol, our 2 child care workers who worked through this pandemic still and are still with us, with our kids upstairs. Dear ones, today was actually intended to be an offering for our staff bonuses. And lo and behold, in the midst of everything that's going on for me, it just slipped my mind. This is how it goes sometimes. And so I just want to highlight for you all today that our offering is actually going towards our staff. and their holiday and Christmas bonuses. And I'll invite you, if you thought about maybe giving just a little bit extra today, to just consider doing that after the service, or giving online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service, just to give to our staff. We are so blessed as a congregation to be served by such an amazing staff. Thank you all. Oh, I won't forget me either. Yes, I'm also part of your staff. Yes, 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 yes. I'm here, yes. Thanks, Connie. This morning's service is about darkness. We've had a bit of a still and slow start, which I think is one of the beautiful gifts of the dark. Darkness is a gift for which we are here to give thanks this morning. In practices of gratitude, we make space in our hearts to notice the gifts we are constantly being given. It is a practice of appreciation and gratitude that helps us to put our lives into perspective, that keeps before us the relationships and the interdependence in which we all exist, right? So this morning, I want us to make space in our hearts for the things we are grateful for from the dark. What are you grateful for from the dark? I'm going to begin by sharing some pieces that folks sent me this week from our congregation, some pieces of gratitude. And then I actually want to make space for folks in this room and online to share out what you are grateful for from the dark. So this morning we share gratitude for covering the hurry of the day and blankets with uninterrupted time. We share gratitude this morning for being curled up with a good book during these silent, dark evenings. We share gratitude this morning for candlelight dinners. We share gratitude this morning for space to heal and space to face your own pain. What else? What else can we give gratitude for the dark? For folks online, I'll just invite you to type that into the chat. For folks here in person, what are you grateful for from the dark? Peace and quiet, sleeping, the stars, warm hats, pets, warm pets. Yes, Emma, with the pets, Emma, always with the pets. I love it. Warm pets. The fire in the fireplace. Christmas tree lights, moonlight, holding hands under the blankets. Yes. Hot cocoa, friends, abundance, beauty, sunshine, children and grandchildren, sunsets. Being financially in the black, yes, we do appreciate that. Special shout out to our finance team here at First Universalist, yeah. Safety, good food, going to the movies, something many of us missed in this pandemic and some of us are getting re-engaged with now. Dear ones, let us hold all we have heard and shared here in our hearts this time of year. As the light grows less, as the days grow shorter, as you find yourself going to sleep in the dark and waking up in the dark, let us hold this gratitude in our hearts together as a community for what we have in the darkness. I want to invite you into this important and reverent time of sharing joys and sorrows in our community. We know that we have so many folks who come in here each and every Sunday with joys and sorrows on their hearts and minds. And we want to just make space for those here in this place. So if you would like to, you can listen with a hand placed over your heart to focus in and ground yourself here in this heart-centered space. We may listen to some of the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community as Jillian places stones into a bowl. I will share aloud all that we have heard and are sharing. This morning, we have a joy from Richard Reed. It has been a great week. I received a purchase offer Monday on my house. Congratulations, Richard, and moved into my new apartment on Thursday. Wow, big news. Oh, from a joy from Bill and Becky. After 20 plus years of patience, our Christmas is blooming. It's your Christmas cactus, I wondered. Yeah, beautiful. A joy from MJ Curry. Happy 60th birthday to me. Happy 60th birthday to you. So grateful to be healthy, happy, and well-loved by family, friends, church family, and my wonderful partner, Moritz. Happy birthday, MJ. Yay. Woo. Joining in that joy for you. We also have joys and sorrows from our online community. I will get the hang of this someday, I promise. A joy from Karen Labraco, who welcomed a wonderful teen into their home this week. Karen and Barry do work with teen empowerment, having folks living with teens in their home temporarily, so that's exciting. From Jean Ott, a joy. I welcomed a wonderful Afghan couple and their daughter to Rochester this week. I will be working with them over the next few months. Thank you for your ministry there, Jean. Oh, a sorrow from Lois Baum. Greg and I are nursing a very bad head cold, so we have to cancel our booster shots for this week. A joy from Emma that her pod has been boosted as of this past week, and a joy that all of her friends with kids who are getting them vaccinated when it was approved. Looking forward to Christmas. And I will just ask for a stone to be dropped in the bowl for me this morning, sharing with you all this week that I am taking some time away, and just, it's like a joy of, it's a stone of both, I'd say joy in the support, and just, I'm really appreciating being held by this community right now. Thank you. Let us drop one final stone into the bowl to represent all of the joys and the sorrows left in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. May all be held in the heart of love. This morning, Jillian will light a white candle for us to acknowledge that we are a community still affected by the grief, the loss, the fear, and the hope of living through a pandemic. May this candle's flame hold our experiences around this disease, this pandemic, and may its light be a beacon of hope and a reminder that we are not alone. I want to invite you this morning into a time of prayer and meditation with me. So if you'd like to get comfortable in your seats, to just take a moment to get grounded in your body, place your feet on the ground if they can reach, and just ease your shoulders down from your ears, soften your gaze, close your eyes. Let us just take a deep breath together. This is a prayer from Kristen L. Harper. God resides in the depths of darkness, as in the light of sunbeams. The moon shines brighter, surrounded by night, and life is secure in the black waters of the womb. As the night sky littered with stars demonstrates again and again, there is beauty in darkness, beauty in light. One no more brilliant than the other, one no more necessary than the other, one always complementing the other. Without the heated darkness of the universe splitting neutrons, electrons, and protons from atoms, life and light would never be. The task for us today is to recognize God in both, to see the divine in the rich brown earth, the textured black walnut, as well as the white snow and the pale pink jellyfish. To see the sacred in the panther and the swan. To embrace the dignity of the Black Madonna as it is embodied in the Virgin Mary. The task for us today is to look into the multifaceted colors of the onyx and see the miraculous spectrum of color produced in the prism of a diamond. For the many ways in which the sacred dark is a part of our lives and is in tension and balance with the sacred light. Let us lift up gratitude and recognition and attention this morning. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Let us share some silence together this morning. As we emerge from the silence together, let us sing while seated hymn number 55, Dark of Winter. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and my soul will sing a song and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness when my fears arrive, let your peace flow through me. Such a beautiful hymn. Like we don't sing it enough. Such a beautiful hymn. Well, dear ones, this week arrived, and I was actually getting ready to share a reading with you all from a dear friend of mine, Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, who did this beautiful reading about how the light is less and sort of the turning of the seasons. And then, lo and behold, a little gift from the Unitarian Universalist Association arrived in my mailbox this past Friday, the UU World, and I just happened to open it up to this one page, and lo and behold, it's about a theology of darkness, written by Kristen L. Harper. And so I've changed our reading this morning because I couldn't help but just think this has to be some kind of a blessing in my life, that this came this weekend at this exact time. And so I'm going to share some words. This is an excerpt from A Theology of Darkness, written by Kristen L. Harper, and she actually just released a book this past year called The Darkness Divine, and I recommend reading it. She writes, "To begin the dismantling of our racist language, we first need a new theology of darkness. A new way to relate to the darkness, blackness and brownness that surrounds us, and to the people whose skin is often reflected in our disempowering language. Poetry can help us cultivate a different relationship with and to blackness and darkness. In the darkness exists a time for rest, a time of regeneration and healing, a time of safety and nourishment, a time of letting go to relax in God's embrace. As a spiritual humanist, I believe that which we call God, the energetic force of love and creation, is within us and around us, connecting and empowering us as we move toward one another and through the world. While there are many different definitions of theology, I lead with a theology rooted in relationship with one another, the earth, God, the spirit of life, all that is holy, and the higher good that can occur when we recognize and affirm our interdependence. This relationship, both conscious and unconscious, impacts how we operate in the world, how we view and treat others, and how we respond to injustices in which we play a part. As a student of religion and race for many decades, I have been concerned about the consistent equating of darkness and blackness with negative qualities, such as sin and despair. Our connection to the divine is a deeply personal driving force. Continuing to associate black and dark with evil or the absence of God has only contributed to fear, dehumanization, and violence towards Black and brown people. A new relationship with blackness and darkness should include lifting up the creation possible within the dark and its empowering and nurturing qualities. Therein ends the reading, and you can see why I had to shift to this reading this morning. Each evening, the darkness comes with its invitation to rest. I find an urge inside myself to make my way to my bed just a little earlier in this season. I don't know if you all have been feeling that pull as well. Or maybe even just to find more quiet activities in the early evening. As night continues and I make my way to my bed, my consciousness dissolves into the dark, into the land of sleep and dreams, where my subconscious can speak, processing the events of my life, memories, thoughts. For those of us who have ever gone without sleep for stretches of time, we know the toll of not being able to get the rest we need and not being able to truly give in to that dissolving at the end of the day. We know we must have this time because it nourishes and replenishes our bodies and our spirits. Every night, each night, we have a chance to be nourished by the dark. As the season slows down, as the light is less, as the halls are decked, we have reason to slow down and pay attention to the nature of our lives. As Advent begins, Black Liturgy's author, Cole Arthur Riley, shared this quote from Zora Neale Hurston this past week. They seemed to be staring at the dark, but their eyes were watching God. And she shares from her own sacred well, from her own sacred creative well. In Advent, we wait for a God who refuses to let the darkness be colonized. If you find yourself thirsty for the light in this season, remember, it is the shadows that will save you in the desert places. Divine refuge. I'll say it again. If you find yourself thirsty for the light in this season, remember, it's the shadows that will save you in the desert places. Divine refuge. As the season slows down and the darkness grows, I am feeling a need to slow down. I wrote to you all yesterday about the need for some time away next week. And I am so grateful to all of you for your supportive messages, for the encouraging messages, for the things you have said to me here this Sunday morning. It is a delight to be supported in a time when I am feeling the need to seek out the rest and the restoration found in a time of darkness and quiet. In moments when things are hard, to have space and permission to take time in retreat and in communion with the divine is something that I just really deeply appreciate. Thank you all for making space for me to get rooted in myself, in my spirit, and in my ministry with you all again. Thank you for giving me the space to slow down in this season. I was reminded this week by one of you that most root systems grow in the dark. It is helpful for me to be reminded of this as someone who connects to the sacred through the natural world, through seasonal cycles, through the cycles of day and night, through the cycles of the moon. These root systems under the ground are intricate pathways designed to nourish and sustain plant life. A complex and ancient network of roots that brings water and nutrients up from the soil through the body towards the leaves and the branches and the fruits of each plant. A truly interdependent web of existence contained in one plant, in groves of trees, in different groupings of plants, in gardens, on farms. Yes. Our bodies are nourished and sustained by the food grown in the sun, but that food would not grow without the darkness surrounding the root systems below. Root systems that can only be nourished in the sacred and fertile darkness. So many living things grow and are sustained in the darkness. Babies are formed and shaped in darkness. In the womb, they are nourished and given safe space to form and grow. For so many, a return to a womb-like state of being in the fetal position wrapped up in blankets can be comforting. It is the place from which we come, a returning to the sacred dark, which formed us for those 9-ish months or so. Our bodies contain darkness. The organs and systems inside our bodies, each body, are held and encased in darkness. That darkness is safety. It is container. Our lives are nurtured in darkness. And so I can only think that a negative attitude towards darkness and blackness and brownness has had to be intentionally created. Because there are so many things that are sacred and beautiful to be found in the dark. Just think of the list that you all made here this morning. Think of everything you shared, and think again probably of the things that you didn't share that came to mind later on as you were thinking more about it. I really appreciate Christian L. Harper's writing about the need for new theological language in Unitarian Universalism that uplifts the empowering and nurturing qualities of the dark, of blackness, of brownness. As a tradition whose roots are firmly found in Christianity, there are so many ways that the binary of light as good and dark being bad has caused harm and is causing harm in this very present moment. Wherever binaries are found, so too are structures of comparison, superiority, oppression, and the very forces which keep us from connecting to life. The binaries we have inherited must be challenged, and a new theological framework forged focusing on the positive and beautiful aspects of darkness. One area I think people can fall into is assigning a darkness to depression. And I will tell you that this is not how depression has felt to me in moments when I have experienced it, especially in the fresh and recent past. I will share with you all that I have felt a fogginess, or maybe an emptiness, perhaps a sense of a thickness that is kind of hard to get through, like a prickly feeling towards others, a sort of barrier that cannot easily be broken through. The way that kind of lowness feels does not have a dark quality to me. I believe there are better words to describe the depths of depression and the depths of our pain that do not equate it with blackness or darkness. And I wonder if you have ever experienced depression or a deep, deep sadness. And if you can think of a word that would describe your experience, a descriptive word that can truly hold your experience in that moment. I want to ask us to just hold these words in our hearts, inviting us into this work of thinking about these descriptive words, knowing that likely your neighbor has been there too. Many of us here in this room know what depression feels like and looks like. Many of us here in this room experience this especially in seasons and cycles. What if we truly acted as if darkness was our source? Rather than a way to describe the negative, to describe the low, to describe the difficulties, what if we truly acted as if darkness was our source? A place to return to for rest. A place to return to be sustained and strengthened in times of hardship. A state of being that makes room for slowness and silence and stillness. For those of us here who hold a belief in the divine, in God, Goddess, God X, what aspects of that divine source is dark? Where do you find darkness in the divine? I'm asking you because it may feel easy for you to wrap your head around a dark divine, or it may feel difficult for you. I know so many of the images that I was exposed to for divinity and even for good energy have all referred to light, a light within, a spark, love and light. Again, Zora Neale Hurston reminds us, they seemed to be staring at the dark, but their eyes were watching God. What I believe to be true is that lightness and darkness must always be held in balance. Our world exists in a sacred and delicate balance of interdependent relationships. What has happened is that our relationship to light and dark has grown out of balance. To prefer light over dark, to continue to lift up the superiority of the light has put us out of balance. To continually reject darkness as wrong or bad also puts us out of balance. Have you ever woken up in the morning to a harsh, bright sunlight glaring in from the window? The light is not always a good thing. Have you ever had moments when you were standing in the light and didn't really want to be? The light is not always a good thing, my friends. We are seeking to restore balance inward each time we recognize and acknowledge the positive aspects of the dark. We live into the reality of this balance when we can hold both lightness and darkness as gifts worthy of gratitude. As I woke up this morning, this Sunday morning, I lay there in my bed and I just allowed the darkness to hold me. Some days this feels uncomfortable because I want to get moving and get going, especially on a Sunday morning with the beginning of my day. And the darkness's invitation to rest can make it hard to want to leave or get on with business as usual. And this morning, as I lay there, I did truly feel held, relaxed, and nourished, trusting in the power of the dark to hold me as I awakened to the world. There is a benefit to just sitting in the dark and paying attention to how our body and our breath and our nervous systems respond. And the dark certainly is present in this time of year. Let us not reject this gift of the seasons, of the cycles, of our way of being. Let us find more moments in our days and nights to be held by the dark, to experience the gifts of this season. As we embrace the beginnings of winter together, as we continue to lift up gratitude for the dark and all it brings into our lives, let us find moments to truly feel it. Whether at the beginning or the end of your day, or even just taking a moment to close your eyes, to experience the darkness that is always available to you at every moment. Let us enter into a time of appreciation for the ways darkness holds us and invites us into rest, healing, and nourishment. Maybe we make space for our spiritual practices, for appreciation of the dark, for gratitude for all it brings. And may we move ever towards loving the dark. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Dear ones, as we are contemplating the dark, the slowness, the stillness of this season, we will sing hymn number 49, Stillness Reigns. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing this hymn together. Dear ones, please remain standing as we extinguish our chalice flame this morning. Let us read together the words printed in your order of service and on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. As we close our service this morning, I'll invite you to place a hand over your heart. If you're joining us online, please turn to gallery view and take a look at all the different folks who are here with us. For those of us in the room, let's just take a moment to look around the room and connect with those here. Dear ones, as you go forth this week, may you feel nourished in the dark. May you find stillness and quiet, moments of slowness and depth. May you allow the darkness to hold you and allow yourself to be held. And may you know that in that darkness, love is found. May you know that love. And may you go and be that love to whomever you meet this week. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. We